You're listening to part 1 of this audiobook. Enjoy the story? Part 2 and the rest of the story are available on Patreon. Go to Patreon and search for my page to continue listening. Now, let's begin part 1. Chapter 1 I Got a Gun. Creation update time 2014-05/3116:41:22.0 words, 1948. Don't move, or I'll shoot. In the dark and late night, in a quiet alley, a woman's voice came, and it was impossible to tell whether she was nervous or scared. I said, "Sir, if you don't point your gun at the robber, why are you pointing at me?" Joling stopped running, raised his hands and turned around helplessly, indicating that he would not move, and said at the same time, "This is a young man in his 20s, with an inch head and a square face, a strong body, and he looks a bit muscular. He is wearing an ordinary blood shirt and jeans. Although his appearance is not outstanding, he can be regarded as a word for spirit. You beat everyone to death, don't arrest you, devil." Although he spoke more fluently, he could still hear the tension in his tone, and the black pistol in his hand trembled. This is a female police officer in an azure police uniform. She doesn't look very old. It seems that she has just become a police officer, otherwise she wouldn't even tremble with a gun. I said, "Eldest sister, that's a robber. If I don't take action in advance, my head may be crushed by others. It's just that the shot is heavy, and at best it's too defensive." Joling explained helplessly, and at the same time began to slowly approach the policewoman. "One person is self-defense, what about two? What about three?" said with a bit of anger on her face. What she hates most is this kind of person who has a bit of brute force on her own and will abuse at will, even if the other party is a robber. No. It's helpless to say, Zhu Ling was lucky today, and encountered a robber in a silver shop, and there were 3 of them. Seeing that the robber was about to go crazy and shoot with a gun, in order to prevent himself from being accidentally injured, and also to fulfill his heroic dream, Zhu Ling made a wise decision: the first is the strongest. As an orphan with no father and no mother, he learned a few tricks from an old man when he was a child. He practiced every day when he had nothing to do. He has not let it go for more than 10 years, and his kung fu is quite good. At least when the gangsters are looking for trouble, Joling can deal with 5 or 6 one at a time. First he sneaked up close, then quickly attacked, and he did one for the other. Who knew that he was so lucky today? The 3 robbers were knocked down without even resisting, and then they just farted. Although he wanted to put them on the ground, he didn't expect that they would be killed, which was unexpected by Joling. Of course, Joling didn't expect that the police's work efficiency was so high today. Just after he succeeded, the police car came dribbling, and just saw the scene where he shot and killed the 3 robbers. Therefore, the hero's trophy was temporarily away from his, and he was directly crowned the title of murderer, and running away became his only choice. Relying on his extraordinary body, he directly dumped those police officers for a few streets, but he didn't expect that he would end up planted in the hands of this unremarkable little girl police officer. "You, don't come here." Observing that Joling was approaching her, the policewoman hurriedly said that she witnessed the scene of the other party's murder. Although Joling had a righteous face, she could be a murderer in her eyes. Okay. I'm not moving, this is okay." Looking at the dark muzzle, Joling said quickly, but the foot did not stop, but was still approaching gradually. "Joke, do you want him to stand there waiting to be caught? Although those 3 people are robbers, they are also 3 living names. In the land of China, no matter what your motives are, things like risking human life will definitely not end well. Although Joling usually does not do illegal things, he is definitely not a good young man who obeys the law honestly. Now he is in his early 20s, just when his life is just beginning, he does not want to spend the rest of his life in prison. So the only way is to run away. "Don't come here, I really can shoot." The hand tremors began to increase. The policewoman was not a fool. How could she not see that this man was approaching her? "I didn't move, it's your dazzling eyes," he responded with his mouth, diverting the policewoman's attention, and Joling was still constantly approaching. Although the other party has a gun, but like this chick who has just entered the police station, and is still a woman, most of the pistols have no bullets, just to scare himself. And even if there are bullets, the other party basically does not dare to shoot. It is precisely because of this that Joling ignores the warning of the policewoman and keeps approaching. Maybe in this situation, Joling's guess is correct, but this time he guessed wrong. "Ah! I said don't come here," Boom. Electric light flint, pull the trigger, a gunshot, the muzzle spewed out sinister fire, and the bullet shot down the barrel. Looking at the fast-moving bullets, the flow of time seemed to be slowing down, and the words the old man had told him before his death rang out in Zhuling's ears again. Look at the world with your heart and eyes, everything is illusory, and when you look at the world, there will be nothing that can hinder your sight. The voice was strong and powerful, as if back to that day. Zhuling couldn't help closing his eyes. The whole world fell silent. Although he closed his eyes, he seemed to see a completely different world. The surrounding environment was unprecedentedly clear and presented in his heart. Including the flying bullet. I saw it. I saw it. I was overjoyed. I thought I would die, but I didn't expect to capture the trajectory of the bullet. It's just that it's a little early to be happy now, and seeing it doesn't mean that your body can keep up with the bullet's speed of 300 meters per second. Puff. Even if he saw it, he could only helplessly watch the bullet pierce his forehead, his head blurred, and his consciousness gradually disappeared. Sure enough, pistols are the most annoying thing. It can be seen from this that the resentment towards the pistol, Bai Shui is a hard worker, but in the face of a hot weapon like a pistol, he still has nothing to do. If there is an afterlife, even if you don't learn this shitty kung fu, you must get a good gun for self-defense. Only I can use a gun to destroy others. This was Zhuling's last consciousness, and then his body collapsed without making any sound. As the gunshots fell, the alley became quiet again, leaving only the shock and disbelief on the female sheriff's face, staring blankly at Zhuling's bleeding corpse that had begun to turn cold. Still the same feeling, still the same taste. Ask for support. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage was first published by ChuangxiChinese.com, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels were first published. This site provides two modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Enjoying Part 1 so far? This is only the beginning. Part 2 and the rest of the story are available on Patreon. Go to Patreon and search for my page to continue the story. Now, let's continue. Chapter 2 Firearms System. Creation Update Time 2014-06-0106:40:14.0 words, 2019. The turbid consciousness began to clear, as if he was slowly awakening from eternal slumber, and those memories flashed through his mind like a movie. I'm not dead, why am I still conscious? This was Zhuling's first thought. He frowned slightly in discomfort and slowly opened his eyes. Are you in hell, Yellow Izumi, now? The first thing is to look at the place where I am, obviously Izumi, the hell yellow, can't touch it. The endless starry sky and the splendid silver river made Zhuling stand there in a daze. A flash of pop flashed across from a distance, and the dazzling light made Zhuling come back to his senses. Where is this? How did my body become like this? I saw that although Zhuling could still see the human form at this time, it was abnormally illusory. The whole body was slightly transparent, and it looked like a projection. Is this my soul? It seems that there is only such a reasonable explanation. After all, he can clearly remember that he was crushed by the gun, and when he thinks of this, Zhuling bit Kaiba and gnashed his teeth. No matter how high the so-called kung fu is, one is afraid of a kitchen knife, not to mention a bullet that kills him in one shot. In front of that guy, Zhuling's more than 10 years of practice is nothing. Without giving him time to complain and reverie, something quickly caught Zhuling's attention. Not far in front of him, a crystal ball with sparkling rays of light floated there, as beautiful as it was. It is the core of this bright starry sky. The crystal ball is the size of an adult fist, with colorful rays of light, seemingly eternal, floating there quietly. For some unknown reason, at the first sight of the crystal ball, Zhuling's eyes were so attracted that he couldn't leave, as if he had encountered a black hole, and his soul body was gradually approaching the crystal ball. He came to the front, raised his somewhat illusory palm, and touched the colorful crystal ball. The originally faint light suddenly soared, like a small sun, illuminating the entire cosmic space, but it was only a short moment, and the next moment the light converged again without any change. Zhuling, on the other hand, stood there in a daze, with dull eyes, as if he had been immobilized, and it took a long time before he came back to his senses. Hey! That's it, I didn't expect this kind of thing, which is smaller than the probability of the world's destruction, would fall on my head. Calm down his somewhat excited heart, because of the emotional fluctuations, Zhuling's soul swayed few times. The moment he touched the crystal ball, a huge torrent of information entered his mind, and it was not until just now that the information was transformed into his memory, and he also understood the ins and outs of all this. In this world, if there is luck, then there will be bad luck. Some people are lucky all their lives, and some people are very unlucky all their lives. The lucky people are lucky because their bad luck is collected by something called the unlucky god, and the unlucky people are unlucky because their luck is collected by a kind of name. The things for the god of luck were collected. It is precisely in this way that the luck and bad luck in the world can be maintained in a relatively balanced state. It's just that after absorbing a lot of luck and bad luck, it will eventually become saturated, and at this time, the luck and bad luck must be released before the next round of absorption can be carried out. As for how to release it, just like Joling who appeared here, looking for a carrier to put all the luck or bad luck that gathered together on one person, and let that person bear all this. In this way, those chosen by the god of luck naturally bear all the luck and become the luckiest person, while those selected by the god of unlucky are those who bear all the bad luck and become the most unlucky person. The colorful crystal ball in front of Joling is the so-called god of luck, and the vast starry sky where he is now is a lucky space in a different dimension from the earth. When he meets the god of luck, he will bear all the luck and become the luckiest person. Therefore, he can exist in the form of a soul who is already dead, and get a chance to travel to other worlds and start over. These are all what Joling got from that information. Of course, if this is the only case, it seems that it will humiliate the power of the god of luck, but in fact it is not only that. In order to resolve Joling's resentment before his death, that is, being crushed on your head, the god of luck used the power of luck to create a set of firearms system for Joling as the capital for him to travel to other worlds to survive. Firearms, in simple and popular terms, are hot weapons. When he thought of the large number of hot weapons displayed by the firearm system in his mind just now, Joling couldn't help but get excited. If all those hot weapons could be used by him, it would be really cool. With the thought in his heart, a panel like a projection appeared in front of Joling. This thing is actually put directly on the retina, so other than Joling, no one else can see it. A rectangular illusory panel with 4 big characters firearm system at the top, and below it is covered with neat small squares, each of which has a picture and text description of a hot weapon. From top to bottom, the power of thermal weapons has not only increased. From small revolvers, grenades, etc., to heavy thermal weapons such as Gatling guns, flamethrowers, laser cannons, and even devastating thermal weapons such as powerful quantum bombs and satellite rays. I didn't expect that a small resentment for the pistol when I died would bring such a rich reward. Of course, these things all have one thing in common at this time, that is, they are all black, which means that Joling is currently unusable. He also understands this point. From the information just now, he knows that if he wants to use these hot weapons, he must meet some specific conditions. As for the conditions, he will only know the world he travels through. And what kind of world Joling will travel to is unknown. He was lucky enough to be able to come back from the dead and travel through. He had no choice but to see what kind of world the god of luck would send him to. At this moment, the light of the colorful crystal ball flickered suddenly. Joling seemed to have received a signal and closed his eyes directly. He knew that his transmigration was about to begin. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides 2 modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 3 Dragon and Phoenix. Creation update time 2014-06-0113:25:03.0 words, 2013. Konoha 48 years. The vigorous Third Ninja World War drew the curtain and ushered in a short period of peace. As the main ninja village of the Third Ninja War, Konoha village, although scarred, has begun to cultivate and recuperate, which does not affect the peaceful scene in the village. Konoha village was founded 48 years ago by the Senjo clan led by Senjo Hashirama and the Uchiha clan led by Uchiha Madara, followed by the Sarutobi clan, the Yamanaka clan, the Inyazuka clan and so on. It can be said that Konoha village is a village composed of many ninja families, and Hokage is a representative selected from these families. 48 years have passed, and there have been countless wars, big and small. Some families have continued to rise, while others have fallen into loneliness, and even broke the inheritance of incense. To this day, there are only 2 of the most famous families in Konoha. One of them is the Uchiha clan, one of the founders of the original Konoha village. Although they are constantly alienated and marginalized by the Konoha village and far from the political center, their strength is obvious to all. And the Sharingan, known as one of the three major pupil techniques in the ninja world, has always been feared by the world. The other is the Hyuga family. The Akugan, one of the three major pupil techniques, although he cannot use ninjutsu, the gentle fist of the Hyuga family is well known in the entire ninja world. Coupled with the strict division of main clan factions, the bloodline of the Hyuga family can be passed on and become more and more excellent, so that they can become one of the two giant families in Konoha village. As for the Senju family founded with the Uchiha family, the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, the second Hokage Senju Tobirama, and the Tsunade's village have been completely in decline. Even in Konoha village, few people know that the Akatsuki Senju family exists. In addition to the two giants of the Uchiha family and the Hyuga family, the most famous is the Sarutobi family of the current third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Then there are the Yamanaka clan, the Nara clan, and the Akimichi clan known as Inoshika Ch, who are family friends and have close ties even before the establishment of Konoha. Next are the Aberame clan, the Inyazuka clan, etc. As for the nameless little clan, there are countless more. It is these families with different abilities that are now called the number one ninja village in the Konoha ninja world, and are called the cradle of genius ninjas. Today, December 27th, Konoha 48, is the first big day in Konoha village. Although they have just experienced the Kaibi, Nine Tails, turmoil, but time is always moving forward, the villagers of Konoha village have gradually come out of the grief of the passing of 4 generations of Hokage, and began to quickly rebuild the destroyed place of Konoha village. A thriving. At this time, a large number of ninjas gathered in the territory of the Hyuga clan, one of the two giants of Konoha, from which you could see the figures of the Inoshika Ch clan, the Inyazuka clan, and the Aberame clan. Everyone was talking in a low voice, with a joyful look on their faces. It seemed that something happy happened to the Hyuga family. The old man at the front of the team is wearing a hat and a windbreaker. The 3 characters of 3 generation eyes are printed on the back of the windbreaker. On the hat, there is this huge word shadow. It is the current Hokage of Konoha village. The 3rd generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Behind one hand, with the other holding his big pipe, he took 2 puffs from time to time, feeling quite comfortable in the fog. Hayashi, don't worry, what should come out will come out. After taking a breath, looking at the middle-aged man walking back and forth in front of the door, Sarutobi Hiruzen said. The man with a serious face, but a little nervous at this moment, is Hyuga Hayashi, the contemporary head of the Hyuga clan. He couldn't blame him for being anxious. His wife was giving birth inside at this time. Hearing the heart-piercing voice, he couldn't help but feel worried. After all, this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Yes, 3 generations of Hokage-sama. With Hokage's order, he didn't dare to walk away, but he just stood there like he was sitting on pins and needles, his hands clenched tightly, not to mention how tangled he was. Regarding Hyuga Hayashi's situation, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had come from the past, could only shake his head and remain silent. He would be like this when he was a father. He was not much better than Hyuga Hayashi back then. Wow! A loud baby cry suppressed the voices of everyone talking, and the nervous look on Hyuga Hayashi's face was also relieved immediately, showing a hint of relief and a rare smile. Boom! Lord Patriarch! Madam is born! A little princess! A female Hyuga tribe came out of the room, wiped her sweat and reported to Hyuga Hayashi, but did not see Hyuga Hayashi's slightly stiff face. Is it a girl? Hyuga clan, which has always been dominated by men, but the child of the patriarch was a girl, which made Hyuga Hayashi a little unacceptable in his heart. But anyway, it's my own child, and my Hyuga Hayashi's daughter is not necessarily worse than a boy. He seemed to have found a reason to convince himself, and said to himself in his heart. The 3 generations of Hokage who have been observing Hyuga Hayashi beside him, and seeing this transformation of Hyuga Hayashi, he also nodded secretly involuntarily. Wow! At this moment, a baby crying suddenly came, louder than the previous one, and entered everyone's ears. There is also a young master. Congratulations to the patriarch. Madam has a pair of twins. The sound from the room suddenly turned Hyuga Hayashi's face from cloudy to sunny, showing a smile he had never seen before, and the congratulations coming from his ear also made him a little fluttering. Hayashi, what are you still doing? Don't you want to hurry in and see your child? The voice of the third generation of Hokage from the side pulled Hyuga Hayashi back to his senses, and walked quickly towards the room. Is this my Hyuga Hayashi's child? The words were full of excitement, looking at the two pink babies lying in the swaddling bed. A young body, fair and tender skin, fleshy arms and legs, all white eyes, but also a little watery, looking at the world innocently and ignorantly. This is also the symbol of the Hyuga family, Byakugan. This, which is a boy and which is a girl? After watching for a while, Hyuga Hayashi asked embarrassedly. Lord Patriarch, the elder sister is on the left, and the younger brother is on the right, said a maid next to her, with a smile on her face. She had never seen such an expression from a patriarch who had always been serious and outdated. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides two modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 4 Hyuga. Creation update time 2014-06-0114:23:05.0 words, 2027. Is the head of the clan, Hyuga Hayashi's emotions quickly stabilized. Looking at his two children lying on the bed, there is still an undisguised love in his eyes. Hayashi, give the child a name. Mrs. Hayashi, who was lying on the bed, said with a gentle face, and stretched out her palm to gently stroke the delicate faces of the two babies. Name. He frowned and pondered for a while, looking at the girl on the left. Since it's her sister, it's up to you. Hyuga Hinata. He raised his brows and said directly, my sister should be called Hyuga Hinata. Speaking, he looked at his younger brother on the right, who was looking at himself with two round white eyes in this life, met Hayashi's gaze, and then hurriedly avoided as if afraid. If my brother is concerned, it would be better for you to give a name to the three generations of Hokage. After pondering for a while, Hyuga Hayashi looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen next to him, which was also to bring the relationship with the three generations of Hokage closer. The fourth generation of Hokage Namikaze Minato passed away, and the third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen regained power. As the head of the Hyuga family, Hyuga Hayashi naturally had to remanage. This, well, let the old man name the child. Nodding, Sarutobi Hiruzen agreed. Why didn't he want to have a good relationship with the Hyuga family, which was one of the two giants in Konoha village anyway? The tighter he could tie him, the better it would be for Konoha. Now that the village of Konoha is in ruins, the strength of the Hyuga family is indispensable. Then call him Hyuga. I hope that one day this child can grow into a powerful ninja that surpasses the world of ninjas. After thinking for a while, the three generations of Hokage finally said. I also hope to be above the rules of the ninja. The last sentence was not spoken, but was said to myself in my heart. Good name. From today onwards, the second son will be called Hyuga. Hyuga Hayashi said with a single mouthful, a smile on his face. No matter whether the name is real or fake, since it was said from the mouth of the third generation of Hokage, it is equivalent to being blocked with a layer of gold, giving it a different meaning. Then it's better to kiss and kiss. Let this child recognize the old man as the grandfather. What does Patriarch Hyuga think? The third generation Hokage suddenly said. I can't ask for it. If the three generations of Hokage are willing, I, Hyuga Hayashi, will agree on behalf of Linger. Some surprises, as if afraid that the three generations of Hokage would go back, Hyuga Hayashi said immediately. This is something both parties would like to see, both for the Hyuga family and for the Hokage faction. Holding the thighs of the Hokage lineage, then the status of the Hyuga family within Konoha will inevitably be improved, even surpassing the Uchiha family, and the Sarutobi Hiruzen faction has the support of the Hyuga family and has more right to speak in the village. The thing that kills two birds with one stone. Konoha village officially joined forces under the guidance of the child named Hyuga under the circumstances of your love and my will, and the trajectory of the world began to shift a little bit. Of course, whether it is the name Hyuga or the recognition of Sarutobi Hiruzen as the grandfather, the child was voluntarily accepted. After all, as a baby, he has no right to choose. His eyes were squinting at the world around him, thinking of unknown things in his heart. That's right, this baby who was not supposed to appear in this world was Joling, who was reincarnated by the god of luck. When he woke up from a deep sleep, he had already appeared in this world. From the panic at the beginning, to the subsequent gradual adaptation, and now to completely calm down and accept the fact, Joling is not a real child after all, and a mature heart is hidden under the appearance of a baby. Although I don't know what those people were chattering about, Joling recognized them from their outfits and traveled to the world of Hokage ninjas. Some surprises, some excitement. Hokage Ninja is famous in Joling's previous life, a comic book that sells all over the world, and it has accompanied him through childhood and has grown up. Although he also dreamed that he could come to the world of Hokage ninjas, he never thought that it would come true one day. If the coolness of the air told him that it was real, he would doubt whether he was dreaming. After calming down, he began to analyze the situation in front of him. There are two useful information he can get now. The first is that he really came to the world of Hokage and was born in the village of Konoha. The second is that he seems to be a member of the Hyuga family, and is also the child of the group leader Hyuga Hayashi, and the baby next to him should be his brother or sister. After all, Joling was completely unfamiliar with the language here, and couldn't understand what Hyuga Hayashi and the third generation of Hokage were talking about. However, according to Joling's speculation, since it is the child of Hyuga Hayashi, then the guy next to him is either Hyuga Hinata or Hyuga Hanabi, and there are only two possibilities. After learning about his current situation, Joling was relieved. Unfamiliarity always makes people feel scared, but now that he has figured it out, he is no longer at a loss at the beginning. Looking at the little guy next to him who was already sound asleep, Joling or Hyugaling raised his arm with some effort, then held the other's chubby little hand, and closed his eyes and fell asleep. A large banquet was held, and all the guests who came to bless were warmly entertained. To be able to invite Hokage and put up such a big battle, there is no one else in the entire Konoha except the Hyuga family. The other big family, the Uchiha clan, did not have a friendly relationship with the various clans in Konoha, and their strength might be higher than the Hyuga clan, but in terms of influence, it was far behind. And Hyuga Hayashi and Sarutobi Hiruzen just became in-laws. Naturally, they had to talk and plan the future. After entertaining the guests, they walked into the study together. The iron should be struck while the iron is hot. In the next 3 days, the news of the birth of a pair of twins in the Hyuga family of the Konoha giants spread throughout Konoha, especially Hyugaling, who was recognized as a grandson by 3 generations of Hokage just after birth, and it was even more sensational. It already has a lot of popularity. There are joys and sorrows. Hyuga Hayashi's wife, the mother of Hyuga Hinata and Hyugaling, died of blood loss after giving birth to the twins. At this point, it was only after the banquet was over that a maid discovered that the great mother's body was already cold. But sad or happy, this sad page soon turned over and ushered in a new future. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides 2 modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 5 Who is Main Clan? Creation Update Time 2014-06-0115:52:50.0 words, 2029. A simple study, with a touch of incense lingering in the air. Tatami, Hyuga Hayashi was sitting upright at this time, looking at the 2 white papers on the small table in front of him. His face was a little serious. 2 simple white papers with 2 names written on them, Hyugaling on the left and Hyuga Hinata on the right. It has been 3 full years since the birth of these 2 children. Time flies in the blink of an eye. I never wanted to think about this issue, but now Hyuga Hayashi has to think about it. I vaguely realized how my father felt when he made this kind of decision back then, and I think it should be similar to me. The Hyuga family, which has survived to this day and has gradually grown, has become one of the 2 giants in Konoha today. In addition to the excellent bloodline, Byakugan and excellent physical skills, gentle fist, there is also the most important point. That is the family system of the Hyuga family. The Hyuga family is divided into 2, the main clan and the branch. Main clan, the true successor of the Hyuga family, responsible for protecting and promoting the Hyuga family. Split, guardian of the Hyuga main clan, responsible for protecting the Hyuga main clan. The Hyuga clan is a clan with Kekii Genkai and Byakugan, one of the 3 major pupil arts, so many people want to find out the ability of the Hyuga clan Byakugan. You know, even the most common Kekii Genkai is very rare in the ninja world, not to mention the Kekii Genkai at the top of the ninja world like Byakugan. In order to protect Byakugan, the Kekii Genkai, the descendants of the Hyuga family were divided into 2 families, the main clan and the branch. The main clan is the heir, and the branch is the protector. The main clan has always been a single lineage. If the main clan has many descendants in the same generation, only one of them can be selected as the main clan, and the others are all separated. That is to say, there can only be one person in each generation of main clan, and the descendants of the separated family can only be separated forever. It is this kind of family system that keeps the excellent bloodlines of the Hyuga family proudly and pure, and the ninjas produced are getting better and better. Those who become separated families must engrave a curse mark on the forehead when the eldest son of main clan turns 3 years old. Main clan can use this curse mark to break the brain nerves of the separation family, thereby controlling the separation of the family. To lift this spell, the only way to go is death, and more importantly, this spell can destroy the branch Byakugan at any time. And this mantra has a name, called the caged bird. People who are separated are like birds in cages, they can only look up at the sky, but have no chance to fly freely in the sky. The family model of main clan and split families, and the control of the caged bird's curse mark, this is the reason why the Hyuga family can prosper and endure in this ninja world even after hundreds of years. And most importantly, it's time for Hyuga Hayashi to think about it. 3 years ago today, my 2 children, Hyuga Hinata and Hyuga Ling, came into this world. Now they are both 3 years old. Hyuga Hayashi must choose one of them to become a branch. Although Hyuga Hayashi has always been ruthless, as the father of Hyuga Hinata and Hyuga Ling, how could he be willing to brand a caged bird for his children, which is no different from breaking their wings with his own hands? However, as the head of the clan, Hyuga Hayashi had to make a choice. Only in this way can the Hyuga clan survive. He has to make the same choice as his father did. Main clan from their own children are not based on age or youth, but based on their own talents. In other words, even if you are not the eldest son, if your talent is higher than other children, you still have the opportunity to become main clan. If the talent gap is not obvious, according to traditional practice, there will still be the eldest son to become main clan. And in a 3-year-old child, can you really see the excellence and the inferiority of talent? So, Hyuga Hisashi hesitated. As time passed by, the air in the study was a little frozen and depressed, frowning, and a great ideological struggle was sitting in my heart. The choices to be made, and Hyuga Hisashi finally made a decision after some thought. Picking up the pen, on the right side of the white piece of paper with Hyuga Hinata written on it, a big fen is written. This is the final decision made by Hyuga Hayashi. Come on! Master Patriarch! Following Hyuga Hayashi's call, a Hyuga tribesman came from outside the door and said respectfully after entering. Go and bring Linger and Hinata back to me. With a wave of his hand, Hyuga Hayashi ordered. Yes. After the man walked out, the study fell into silence again. Made the choice, Hyuga Hayashi felt a lot more relaxed in his heart. He stared at the 3 words Hyuga Ling with his empty white eyes, and was speechless for a long time. The reason why Hyuga Hayashi chose Hyuga Ling to become main clan was not because of talent. After all, at the age of 3, it is difficult to see the strength of talent. And his reasons are very simple, there are only 3. First, Hyuga Hayashi values boys more than girls. Second, Hyuga Hinata's cowardly character really makes him unhappy, and compared with Linger's generosity and stability, Hyuga Hayashi is very satisfied. Third, this is also the most important point, that is, the 3 generations of Hokage recognize Linger as the grandson, so if Linger can become the main clan, he will take over as the head of the Hyuga clan in the future, which will be of great benefit to the Hyuga family. It is based on these 3 points, Hyuga Hayashi intends to put Hinata into the Cold Palace, included in the ranks of the separation. The Hyuga family, as one of the 2 giants in Konoha village, like the Uchiha family, naturally have their own territory, occupying a considerable part of the Konoha village. Among them, on a relatively remote training ground in the territory of the Hyuga clan, a young figure ran sweating like rain, circling the training ground without stopping. Judging from the face, it is quite immature, at most 3 or 4 years old, with black shattered hair, looks like a little Shota. Whether it is the clothes on his body or the pair of white eyes, it all proves that this little guy is a member of the Hyuga clan, and if he thinks about it, only the Hyuga clan can appear here. Panting like a cow, sweating like rain, his face has long since turned to UI because of the strenuous exercise, but this little guy doesn't seem to stop, and is still running lap after lap. Even though children in this world of Hokage are generally precocious, it is quite rare to be able to do this at the age of 3 or 4. The latest chapter of the Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides two modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. I'll tell you later in Chapter 6. Creation update time 2014-06-0117:59:10.0 words, 2026. Brother Ling, take a rest. A tender voice came, causing Ling to stop running and look in that direction. I saw a little girl about the same age as the boy trotting over, with cute short hair, fluttering face, holding a towel in one hand and a drink in one hand, and came to Ling. It's just a few more seconds longer than me, just call me Ling, you don't need to add the word little brother. Holding the thing handed over, he mumbled helplessly. He wiped the sweat on his face with a towel, and at the same time drank a big sip of the cold drink. When the girl heard the complaint from the boy named Ling, she just smiled shyly and didn't say anything. This is not the first time, but every time the little girl has not changed, she likes to call him brother. This is the only part of the little girl who can feel the affection in this cold home. Hyuga Hinata, who just turned 3 years old, and it goes without saying that the little boy named Ling is Hyuga Ling. The two walked to the shady grass sheltered by the big tree and sat down, leaning on the trunk, quietly enjoying the refreshing breeze that was not blowing, and listening to the chirping of birds in the distance, which was indescribably comfortable. It has been 3 years since she came to this world, and Ling has gradually become accustomed to the life of this world and integrated into it. As the son of the patriarch of the Hyuga clan, Ling can have a leisurely childhood, and he does not need to worry about stockpiling life and death. After all, the Hyuga clan does not dare to provoke the entire ninja world. However, as a traveler who is familiar with the plot, Ling could not really relax. What is security? Having enough strength to protect yourself is called safety. How can I be at ease? If you have enough strength to run rampant in the ninja world, you can be at ease. Relying only on external forces to protect oneself is always the worst, and strengthening oneself is king. Ling has a very deep understanding of this. What's more, I am now not only myself, but also have my own fetters, and have someone I want to protect, so I need to redouble my efforts. Hinata, who was resting on his shoulder next to him. Owning a firearm system is the biggest reliance for him to become stronger in this world, and it is also a trump card, but Ling is not qualified to use it at this time. So from a week ago, Ling began to exercise himself consciously, and running in circles was one of them. He also asked his father, Hyuga Hayashi, to give himself the method of refining chakra, but he was not successful, but was strictly rejected, and criticized as being too ambitious. Thinking about it, although the earlier chakra cultivates, the higher the foundation, but it is not without the suspicion that the seedlings are encouraged. From the perspective of long-term development, it is somewhat worth the loss. Only those children who lived in the war years began to practice chakra at the age of 3 or 4 in order to be able to go to the battlefield earlier, and when the war was over, most of them became useless. The best age for chakra refining is around 6 years old. At the age of 6, the bodies of children in this world have basically been shaped, and they are officially entering the stage of development, and refining chakra at this time is also more effective. After thinking about it, Ling never mentioned the need to practice chakra. Instead, he began to exercise his body within the range he could bear. In this way, he could also lay a stronger capital for himself. As for his other great weapon in this world, Byakugan, he has not yet started chakra practice. He thinks that with the 90% chance of opening the Hyuga family, he should have no problem. The only downside is that this Byakugan is really not beautiful. As the saying goes, the eyes are the window to the soul, and the eyes are also the way to express a person's emotions, and Byakugan is to see any emotional fluctuations, which may be the reason why most of Hyuga's clansmen seem to be a little stern. After stretching, my body was a little sore. Although I hadn't started weight-bearing exercises, the running just now made Ling's muscles in various parts of his body a little too much, and his young body was a little overwhelmed. Hey! At this moment, a pair of palms climbed up on his shoulders. I didn't know when Hinata had woken up from a nap, and was standing behind him and pinching his shoulders with those small hands. His face was shy and his technique was a little stiff. Hey, Hinata, even if you are so nice to me, I won't call you sister. Although it was uncomfortable, Ling still cooperated with a look of enjoyment and said with a little joking. Ling had never called sister Hinata before. After all, she felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. It was a bit embarrassing for an adult soul to call a 3-year-old sister. But he already regarded Hinata as his family, which was very rare and cherished for him who was an orphan in his previous life. That, brother Ling, why are you exercising so hard? Not caring what Ling said, little Hinata asked the question she had been wanting to ask for so many days. In her opinion, it was a bit strange that her younger brother did not play around with other children, but exercised seriously. Of course, little Hinata didn't realize that he was strange enough. Instead of playing, he silently watched Ling work hard all the time. This was not something a 3-year-old could do. That's a good question, but it's too troublesome to explain, so I'll tell you later. Leaping up from the ground, Ling rubbed little Hinata's head condescendingly, and said with a smile. Let's go, it's time to go back, otherwise the rigid man should be angry again. At this time, the sky was already setting, and the originally dazzling golden sunlight UI was a little deep, and it seemed to be stained with blood on the ground. Color. Brother Ling, don't say that about your father, he is also for our own good. Behind Ling, Hinata muttered in a low voice, defending the father who always treated her with a cold face. Although Hyuga Hayashi has always hated little Hinata, but little Hinata never resented, in any case, it was his father. Well, you said. Who? Come out. Halfway through speaking, the conversation suddenly changed, and he stopped abruptly, shouting in a tender voice. At the same time, his body instinctively protected the little Hinata behind him, and the empty Byakugan looked around vigilantly. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides 2 modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 7 Idiot Sister. Genesis Update Time 2014-06-0207:27:23.0 words, 2020. Brother Ling, what's wrong? Clutching Ling's clothes nervously, Hinata asked in a low voice. Looking at Ling's serious look, she was a little scared, she already felt that something bad would happen. Ling didn't answer Hinata's question, and he didn't know how to answer. Having experienced life and death once, he is quite sensitive to negative auras such as hatred and murderous aura, and Ling just felt that aura flashing around him just now. It's just that where it came from, and where it is now hidden, Ling will not know. But he can be sure that the disgusting aura is indeed aimed at him, and in the territory of the Hyuga clan, such an aura aimed at himself is obviously an enemy rather than a friend. Su. At this moment, a figure suddenly came out of the woods next to it, and came to Ling and Hinata in an instant. Master Ling, Miss Hinata, the patriarch asked me to take you back. I saw the figure coming out was the Hyuga tribe that Hyuga Hayashi sent to bring Ling and the 2 back. It turned out to be Uncle Takuma, my brother, and I are going back. After seeing the person coming, Hinata's nervous heart could not help loosening up. This is Hyuga Takuma, who took care of her and her younger brother since childhood, and is usually called uncle. However, Ling's face was still heavy. No. There are others. Be careful. Ling suddenly shouted at Hyuga Takuma, seeming to sense something, but his response was still a beat too slow. Whoosh. Just where Hyuga Takuma came out just now, another figure came out, a few points faster than Hyuga Takuma, and in a blink of an eye, he was behind him. Laugh. A pitch-black kunai pierced the hole directly from the back of the neck, hot blood sprayed out, and even splashed onto Ling's face. Ah! When Hinata's scream came, Ling directly covered Hinata's eyes with his backhand, watching Hyuga Takuma's body slowly fall to the ground. There was a trace of shock in his eyes that could not be touched. Little devil, I didn't expect you to feel my presence, but your reaction was a little slower. Attacked Hyuga Toku was a bearded middle-aged man with dark skin and a tall stature. He looked rough and wild. Judging from his appearance, it was certain that he was not from the land of fire. Especially after seeing the forehead guard on the other party's forehead, it proves this. From Kumigakure village. Ling recognized the different forehead guards from Konoha village at a glance. It was the symbol of Kumigakure village's ninjas in the land of thunder. Of mind, Ling suddenly thought of the forgotten fragment in Ling's mind. In the original book, Hinata seems to have been kidnapped by Kumigakure, who came to sign a peace agreement with Konoha from Kumigakure village on his birthday. In the end, because of the peace just now, in order to avoid war, Hinata was redeemed from Kumigakure at the cost of the life of Hyuga Hayashi's younger brother, Hyuga Hisashi. Today is the official birthday of him and Hinata, and a few days ago, I also got vague news that the messenger of Kumigakure has come to Konoha to sign a peace agreement, so it seems that the purpose of this Kumigakure here is to kidnap Hinata or is himself. Hey? A 3-year-old baby can recognize that this uncle is Kumigakure, and he has some knowledge. This Kumigakure was indeed a little surprised. He didn't expect a 3-year-old child to recognize him. It seems that this Konoha is called the cradle of genius for no reason. The popularity of knowledge is so widespread. Remember this uncle's name, Kumigakure Village Jainin Rei. Little devils, did you take the initiative to follow me, or let me tie you up? Shaking his fists, Kumigakure, who was called Rei, slowly approached Ling and Hinata. His mission to come to Konoha this time, on the surface, is to sign a peace agreement, but in fact it is to obtain the secrets of the Hyuga clan Byakugan, and compared to adults, it is obvious that the children of the Hyuga clan are easier to start. Therefore, he sneaked into the territory of the Hyuga clan and set his sights on Ling and Hinata. Go away! Ling said to Hinata, who was trembling with fear behind him, while stepping back, his eyes fixed on the approaching Kumigakure. No, I want to be with brother Ling. Shaking her head, she knew it was dangerous here, but she didn't want to leave Ling alone and run away. Sister idiot, if you don't leave, who will notify my father to save me? Ling said with a hint of helplessness on the corner of his mouth. You called me sister. It's really stupid to say you're an idiot, why don't you hurry up? Looking at Hinata's stupid look, Ling urged a little angrily. I see, brother Ling, you have to wait until your father comes. Hinata said firmly, clenching his little fists, and then ran into the distance without looking back. A little devil is a little devil, do you really think that you can escape from my Lord Rei's hands after playing some tricks? 2. For him, a Jainin, it is really not difficult to catch a kid. Look! UFO! Seeing the kid pointing behind him and saying something he hadn't heard of, Rei turned his head instinctively, but he didn't see anything, and instantly realized that he had been tricked. Ouch! As soon as he turned around, a stone slammed into his face, hitting him directly on the forehead, and screamed in pain. Little devil, you dare to play with me, I really don't want to live. Immediately, he was furious. He didn't expect to be played by a little ghost, and his forehead was crushed by a stone, which really made people angry. The characteristics of Kumigakure are that he is easily impulsive and angry, and his nerves are thick. Otherwise, he will not be played with an empty joke, and he will not be hit by a stone without any defense. Of course, the most important thing is that this guy named Rei was completely hated by Ling and completely forgot about Hinata's escape. From this point of view, Ling's tactics are quite successful, but Hinata is safe, but he himself is in trouble. In an instant, he came to Ling's body, grabbed the other's delicate neck with that generous palm, and lifted it up high. Believe it or not, I'll kill you right now. His face was full of murderous intent, and with that fierce face in itself, it looked even more frightening like an evil ghost. No, I'm sure you won't kill me. But Ling was unexpectedly calm, and said slowly, even if his neck was grabbed, the master of life was in the hands of others, but there was still no panic. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides 2 modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 8 You Dare Not Kill Me. Creation update time 2014-06-0211:03:12.0 words, 2036. Don't kill you? Kid, who gave you confidence? When a kid made a big deal in front of Jainin himself, and his fiery temper made him stronger. Difficulty breathing, Yui's face turned pale, Ling Shang felt suffocated. He had already died once, and he could smell the breath of death again. If he continued like this, he would really die. Have you forgotten your mission here? Biting Kaiba, he said these words with difficulty. As soon as the words came out, Ling felt his neck drop, and fell directly from the man's hand. He sat on the ground and took a few breaths, and then he was relieved. Boy, you know a lot, but if you hadn't reminded me, I would have really forgotten. The originally angry head was sober, and a trace of sweat could be seen on Rei's face. This task was given to him by Lord Reikage himself. If something went wrong, there would be no good fruit to eat. But don't think that I'll let you go. I'll gouge your eyes out first, and then kill you like that. He said fiercely before his anger subsided, Konoha's kid is really a headache, It seems that you don't know yet. I haven't opened my eyes yet. If I gouge out my eyes now, they will be no different from ordinary eyes except for their color, and they won't have Byakugan's abilities. Standing up, Ling patted the dust on his body and said slowly. The tension in my heart has calmed down. Although I still haven't escaped danger, at least my life will not be in danger for the time being. At this time, I need to calmly think about countermeasures and how to escape. What Ling said was not a bluff, but a fact. He is only 3 years old, and he has not practiced chakra. Byakugan's Kekkei Genkai ability has not been activated, and this ability can only be awakened by the blood of the Hyuga family. If it is dug out now, it is no different from ordinary eyes. Boy, are you bluffing me? Ray asked tentatively, squinting and looking at the calm kid in front of him. After just this short contact, he has already discovered the difference of this kid, so calm. Although there was panic from the beginning, he didn't want to cry like other children, but calmly confronted himself, as if he knew from the beginning that he would not be in danger. If you think about it carefully, you seem to have been led by this little devil from the very beginning. When he was lurking, he was discovered. When he was going to catch the little girl, the other party successfully escaped. When he was going to kill him, in the end, as he said, he did not kill him. After thinking about it, Ray suddenly felt a shudder. This kid is really scary. If you don't believe it, then try it. After speaking, he stared provocatively, as if waiting for the other party to dig, which made Ray even more uncertain. Humph! Stupid brat! Don't think that this uncle dares not. I will gouge out your eyes today. He raised his right hand, fingers hooked, and poked it towards Ling's eyes. The fist wind slammed into the two of them, but Ling stood still and stood far away, his eyes still opened without dodging, just looking at the fingers that were getting closer and closer to him. And in the end, that Ray didn't give up after all. He didn't dare to gamble with his ninja career. If it was as this kid said, he went back with this pair of useless Byakugan. The task was impossible to explain. So now it seems that the life of this kid has to be kept for the time being, and he has to protect himself. Stinky boy, you're amazing. Since you can't kill you, then come with me. After speaking, he slid Ling Ti up directly, caught him with his arm, and jumped into the woods next to him. Jumping on the tree trunk and quickly get away from here. Although he is not a perceptive ninja, but he also knows that if he does not leave here, he will never be able to leave. Swish! 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 Not long after Ray tied Ling Gang and left, the three figures quickly arrived here. The head is Hyuga Hayashi, and behind him is a man who is 8 points similar to him, his younger brother Hyuga Hisashi, and the other is a powerful Hyuga clan. Is this right here? Hyuga Hayashi asked, putting down the holding Hinata, and looked around. Yes, yes, father, I was here just now. With his head down, Hinata said in a weeping voice. Master Patriarch, Takuma is no longer breathing. The Hyuga clansman walked over from Hyuga Takuma's corpse and said. I see, take Hinata back. Under Hyuga Hayashi's orders, the Hyuga tribe took Hinata back. Hisashi, you go back and pass my order, all the clansmen above Chunin will act, and search carefully within the Hyuga territory. Maybe there will be comrades in Kumagakuer. Yes, the Patriarch. Under the orders of Hyuga Hayashi, Hyuga Hisashi also left quickly. Although the two are brothers, the identity relationship between them at this time is the Patriarch and the clan, not brothers, so it is reasonable for Hyuga Hisashi to call Hyuga Hayashi the Patriarch. Byakugan drank it lightly, and saw that the blue veins suddenly burst out around Hyuga Hayashi's white eyes, and an invisible wave seemed to spread out from those eyes, instantly covering the entire Hyuga clan's territory. Found it! Although Ray had left with Ling for a while, he still hadn't escaped from the Hyuga clan's territory. After all, he was Hyuga's territory, and he couldn't act in an open and honest way. It's easy to find the target. Hayashi didn't delay any longer, got up and chased after him. One is escaping furtively, while the other is chasing with full firepower. The gap between the two sides is constantly narrowing. Hokage building, inside the Hokage office. Third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at this peaceful Konoha village, but his forehead was frowning. He also understands the real purpose of the Kumagakuer village to sign the peace agreement this time, but as Hokage, he can't take it lightly. After all, his words and deeds not only represent himself, but also represent Konoha's attitude. If he shoots at will, it is very likely that the war that has just stopped will start again, which is what he does not want to see. So even if he knew in his heart that Kumigakure was making trouble in the village, he could only sigh silently, hoping that the turmoil this time would calm down soon. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides two modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 9 Meat Shield. Creation update time 2014-06-0214:18:46.0 words, 2048. Who? The wind blew past his ears. Being held by a man like this, Ling Ke was very unhappy. But even if he was upset, he had no choice. He didn't have the right to choose. He could only keep trying to figure out how to get out. It has only been 3 years since I came to this world, and the future is exciting, but I don't want to be a flower that will wither before it blooms. Constantly leaping in the Shunlin, not approaching the downtown area of Konoha, but constantly approaching the surrounding edges, it seems that this Kumigakure has some brains and plans to leave from the surrounding remote areas. If it was during the war, the entire Konoha village would be surrounded by a huge barrier. Whether it was entering or exiting, it would require a specific Indian style to do so. It's just that with the end of the war, the barrier has also been released, and there is no defense except for the Konoha guards who are patrolled from time to time by the Uchiha family. That is to say, as long as this Kumigakure is lucky and does not encounter the patrol team of the Uchiha family, he can easily escape from Konoha. Of course, if Ling's speculation is correct, then the Hyuga clan should have discovered this time and acted. This is the only way Ling can escape. Every Jainin is an important resource in the village. Since Kumigakure village will send a Jainin to complete this task this time, it can also be seen that they are determined to obtain Byakugan. However, it is clear that they will not succeed as easily as planned. Just after leaving the area where Konoha village was located, before Kumigakure Rei could breathe a sigh of relief, a figure suddenly came out from the side and landed not far in front of him. "Shut up, otherwise you will never be able to leave from here." His voice was a little cold, and the person who spoke was Hyuga Hayashi, who was chasing after him. To sneak into the Hyuga clan without realizing it, and kidnap his own son, this is definitely not a small stimulation for Hyuga Hayashi, who has always been very self-respecting. "You are Hyuga Hayashi, the head of the Hyuga clan. I advise you not to move around. This little guy is still in my hands." He grabbed Ling's neck and blocked him like a shield. If it is purely based on strength, he is a Jainin from Kumigakure village, and naturally he will not be the opponent of the Hyuga clan chief, not only because of the gentle fist who shakes the ninja world, but also the terrifying Kekii Genkai Byakugan. But now that he has a hostage in his hand, Rei has a lot of confidence. As long as this kid is still in his hand, he will be safe. Looking at Ling, who had a pained expression in Kumigakure's hand because his neck was being strangled, Hyuga Hayashi hesitated. Sake of his own Hyuga clan's face, it was absolutely impossible to let this Kumigakure leave, but his own child was held hostage by the other party, and Hyuga Hayashi didn't know how to choose for a while. Great opportunity. Watching Hyuga Hayashi split due to hesitation, Rei thought to himself. Swish. 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 Of the right hand, the three shuriken finished zigzag swirls and attacked towards Hyuga Hayashi. Hyuga Hayashi was woken up by the whistling sound, but when he came back to his senses, the shuriken was already in front of him. He didn't hit him directly, but flew toward him in 3 different directions, front, left, and right, and Hyuga Hayashi could only retreat. But soon, he discovered that this is not just a shuriken, but also has a yellow rune on it, which is one of the explosive props in this world. Boom! 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 Almost at the same time, 3 explosions sounded, and the smoke and dust were billowing into the sky. Rei didn't linger any longer, and took advantage of this opportunity to go around quickly, and continued to fly in the direction far away from Konoha. As Jainin, he knows very well that the detonating talisman just now can at most delay Hyuga Hayashi's footsteps, and if he wants to hurt the other party, it's still a long way off. The truth was like what Rei thought, or that Hyuga Hayashi responded faster than he thought. Puff! Directly from the smoke and dust, it was Hyuga Hayashi. Except for a little dust, there was no harm in the whole body. A pair of empty Byakugan stared at Kumigakure, rushed over quickly, stretched out his right hand, and wrapped light blue chakra on the palm, which is the Hyuga family's gatekeeper stunt, Gentle Fist. And just now, Hyuga Hayashi also used the defensive move Revolving Heaven used by Gentle Fist to block the impact of the explosion. Attack was fast, and seeing that the Gentle Fist was about to hit him, Ray placed Ling, who had been holding his left hand, in front of the Gentle Fist, intending to use it as a meat shield. The palm that was already half out was forcibly withdrawn. If this palm was directly slapped on Ling's body, it would definitely die. Damn it! Even Hyuga Hayashi, no matter how good-natured, was caused by Kumagakuru's indiscriminate methods, and he bit Kaiba, gnashing his teeth with hatred. Next, the two sides began a tug of war. Constantly moving, every time Hyuga Hayashi approached Kumagakuru to attack, the opponent would always take Ling out as a shield, so Hyuga Hayashi had to withdraw the attack. It has come a few kilometers away from Konoha, but there is still no progress. The situation at hand is very clear, Kumagakuru is at the advantage, and Hyuga Hayashi is at the disadvantage. If we continue to drag on like this, if there is nothing but the border of the country of fire, then I really have nothing to do. In the process, Ling, who was almost ignored, was in a dire torment. That Kumagakuru Ray's palm had been clutching his neck. Although it wasn't heavy, it made it difficult for him to breathe. With the constant dangling, Ling's face had begun to turn a little blue. Dizziness, Venus in the eyes, lack of oxygen in the lungs, blood in the body and the pulse of the heartbeat are slowing down, which are all signs of suffocation. If it continues like this, Ling will slowly die in the torment of suffocation, and neither Ray nor Hyuga Hayashi have noticed this strangeness about Ling. I'm not going to die here. He opened his eyes with some effort and looked at Hyuga Hayashi, who was not far away. What a fool, you should pay attention to me, Byakugan is really white. For his father, Ling was really speechless. He had approached him several times, but he didn't even realize that something was wrong with him. How could he not care? Is this? Could it be that my eyes are dazzled? Suddenly, Ling suddenly found something in his eyes, like a hallucination. But soon, this thing gradually became clear from the vagueness at the beginning. After seeing it clearly, the somewhat purple face couldn't help showing a hint of excited smile. Ask for collection recommendations. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides two modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 10 Double Gun Headshots. Creation Update Time 2014-06-0216:49:52.0 words, 2019. I didn't expect to finally appear at this last moment, it really gives me face. Squinting his eyes, although his face was a little purple due to lack of oxygen, he still couldn't hide his excited expression. Maybe nothing can be seen from the outside world, but if you look through Ling's eyes, you will see what is projected directly on his retina. Firearm System. At this critical moment when he was about to suffocate to death, perhaps Xiao felt that Ling was in fatal danger, or for other unknown reasons, the firearm system that had never responded since he was in this world finally appeared again. The panel of the firearm system was still pitch black, and the black color meant that Ling could not use it, but the difference was that at the top of the panel, one of the grids flashed with a faint light. Revolver. The picture in that grid is a pair of revolvers that look a little quaint, and it is also the only firearm that Ling can use at this time. Although it wasn't the lethal firearm he wanted, at this juncture, he couldn't help being picky. It was a great blessing to give him a chance to fight for his life. Controlling his thoughts, he clicked on the icon of Anne's revolver like a finger, and then he felt his hands sink, and two more slightly cold things appeared. The dark barrel, the beautiful runner, and the handle with a good handle, the pair of revolvers that were originally in the firearm system have appeared in his left and right hands respectively. Somewhat surprised, this is also the first time Ling has used the firearm system, and there is a wicked smile on the corner of his mouth. This is his last chance to fight for his life. At this time, Ray and Hyuga Hayashi, who were holding Ling, were in a tense confrontation, and no one noticed Ling's small movements at all, which created an excellent opportunity for him. Click. They both pulled the hammers at the rear of the revolver. Although he didn't know how the bullets in the revolver came from, he intuitively told Ling that he had loaded the gun and could be fired at any time. Force, he turned around directly, his two legs clamped Kumagakuru Ray's chest, and at the same time his neck was detached from the opponent's hands, his hands were raised, and the black barrels of the revolvers in his hands were already aimed at Ray. Yi's eyes. Everything happened so suddenly and so quickly. Ray never thought that the little guy in his hand would resist, and he still had the ability to resist, so he didn't have time to react without any precautions, and he heard the letdown. He gnaws at the sound of Kaiba's gnashing kid. Uncle, since you want my eyes, keep yours too. Ui's face quickly moistened, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. While speaking, he pulled the trigger of the revolver in his hand. Boom! Boom! The two shots were fired at the same time, with a distance of less than a centimeter. Almost the moment the bullet flew out of the barrel, it had already shot into Ray's eyes and penetrated his head. Puff! Blood splattered, brains burst, and the footsteps that originally jumped among the trees stopped, and the body fell straight down. And Ling, at the moment when the bullet was fired, his physical strength seemed to have been absorbed, and he no longer had the slightest strength, and even his brain consciousness began to blur. Pfft! The corpses of Ray and Narai both fell to the ground, and his blurred consciousness made him unable to feel the pain in his body, but his hands instinctively clenched the two revolvers. Sure enough, without chakra, it's too reluctant to use it now. Originally, the use of these firearms should only be able to be successfully used with the support of energy like chakra, but Ling without chakra was directly exhausted by the two bullets, and his body collapsed directly. Linger, are you all right? Haiga Hayashi hurriedly ran over, lifted Ling's body from the ground, and asked eagerly. He was also a little confused about what happened suddenly in this series, but these things were obviously secondary when compared with Ling's life. Although he didn't know the method, at least he knew that Kumagakure was dead, and he died at the hands of his son Ling, a 3-year-old child, which made the shock in his heart unable to calm down for a long time. Look, do I look like I'm fine? His speech was a bit intermittent, his head was extremely drowsy, and his thoughts were a little unclear. This was also a side effect of the instant loss of physical strength. Linger, what is that thing in your hand? Looking at the two pitch-black revolvers in Ling's hand, Haiga Hayashi asked strangely. He has lived for decades but he has never seen such a thing. Guess what? I said should you, take me to the hospital first. The voice became smaller and smaller, until at last it was completely inaudible, and Ling fell into a coma completely. Ling slept this time for a whole week. If it weren't for this weak heartbeat and pulse, it would be almost indistinguishable from a real dead person. Konoha Hospital, this is where Ling is temporarily staying at this time. Although the Haiga family also has its own medical team, it is still inferior to the Konoha Hospital founded by Tsunade, known as the Medical Master. In addition, it was his own child who had the problem. In order to avoid any risk to the greatest extent, Haiga Hayashi sent Ling to Konoha Hospital for treatment and nursing. And to talk about the big thing that happened this week, it was the Kumagakure kidnapping incident. Regarding Kumagakure's behavior, although the perpetrator has been killed, Haiga Hayashi naturally cannot be regarded as not happening, and immediately changed to the third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen to reflect this. It's a pity that the final result was quite different. After negotiating with Kumagakure, he was bitten back by the other party, saying that Konoha village killed Kumagakure compatriots for no reason and wanted to give them an explanation. As for what Haiga Hayashi said, Kumagakure kidnapped the children of the Haiga family, but it was unsuccessful, and there was no substantive evidence, but the body of the other party's Kumagakure was lying there, making Konoha unable to refute. Although there are some twists and turns in the middle, the ending of this event is almost the same as the original. In order to avoid provoking a war with Kumagakure, Haiga Hisashi, an unknown hero, was sent to the village of Kumagakure. In the end, it is also clear that, in order not to let the secrets of the Haiga clan Byakugan leak out, and to prevent Haiga Hisashi from being tortured in Kumagakure village, Hayashi directly used the bird in the cursed cage to destroy Hisashi's Byakugan and brain nerves. Die. I hope that readers who like this book can add a big fight and communicate with everyone. Smash Brothers, 76635515. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides two modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. Chapter 11 Won't Let You Go. Creation update time 2014-06-0307:12:50.0 words, 2020. The white ceiling was what Ling saw when he opened his eyes. Looking at it blankly, those white eyes are a little empty, a little hazy, and my brain is still a little drowsy, but I am also a little bit awake. For a whole week, I slept a little longer this time. Apart from the deep slumber when he crossed over, this was the second time Ling had this feeling, and he really walked on the brink of death. After a while, all the memories came to my mind, and the first thing I translated was to look at my hands. What about the pair of revolvers? There was nothing in the hand, and the revolver that had been taken out of the firearm system was gone. Is it taken back? I was a little disappointed in my heart. After finally being able to use the weapon in the firearm system, it was taken back afterward. But just when Ling thought it was like this, his eyes inadvertently glanced at the cabinet next to the bed, and he couldn't move any further, and looked there fixedly. With a hint of a smile, he took the pair of revolvers that were sitting there quietly, and held them in his hands with some fondness. The touch was not as rough as the appearance, but was very delicate and smooth, making it very comfortable to touch. There is only one thing that makes Ling more strange. According to Konoha's habit, when such inexplicable things appear, they should be sent for investigation and research at the first time. Could it be my father who is making trouble? After thinking about it, it seems that there is only one explanation. After all, the power of the Hyuga clan cannot be ignored, and as the son of the head of the Hyuga clan, there are certain things that cannot be studied casually. Ling thought, well, this situation is very likely, and with the current strength of the Hyuga clan, it can definitely be done. However, I have to say that this time Ling thought too much. Hyuga Hayashi also wants to know what his son's strange weapon is. You can actually drop a Janin in seconds. It's a pity that if the pair of revolvers were taken more than 10 meters away from Ling, they would disappear automatically and return to Ling's side. No matter whether they used the enchantment or the secret technique, they couldn't do it. Even, the 3 generations of Hokage even used Shiranui Genma, who was the guard of the 4th generation of Hokage at the beginning, together with the 3 of them, and Uesuke, to jointly use the time-space ninjutsu, the technique of Hiraishin, for teleportation, which was still ineffective. This has aroused the curiosity of the 3 generations of Hokage and Hyuga Hayashi, but since they can't conduct research and investigation, they can only wait for Ling to wake up and listen to the other party's explanation in person. This was the reason why the revolver remained intact by his side. Although the result was the same as Ling thought, the process was extremely tortuous. Alas, it's a pity that I can't use such a powerful weapon for the time being. Ling said with a sigh of relief while playing with the pair of revolvers in his hands. The bullets in this revolver are all condensed by energy, and Ling has no chakra in his body at this time. If he wants to condense bullets, he can only forcefully extract his own physical strength. With just 2 bullets, he was able to use up his current physical strength, and Ling didn't want to fall asleep again. Although this revolver is only the lowest level weapon in the firearm system, it definitely has a great effect on myself, who is currently powerless. Of course, in the case of killing Janin in seconds, Ling's success also has a great element of luck in it, and it will hardly appear again in the future. Otherwise, whether it can keep up with Janin's speed just by relying on the speed of revolver bullets is a problem. And even if it can keep up, this small bullet is too small in front of Janin's ninjutsu. Therefore, it is still necessary to continuously dig out the powerful weapons in the firearm system for your own use. Of course, these are all things in the future. All Ling needs to do now is to constantly exercise his body, and then refine the chakra. It is enough to be able to control this revolver. Click. At this moment, the door of the ward suddenly opened, and a figure walked in from the door. Brother! You are awake! Hearing this crisp and pleasant cry, even if he hadn't seen anyone yet, Ling already knew who was coming. The entire Konoha who will call him his younger brother, and it is naturally Ling's stupid sister Hyuga Hinata. Brother, why didn't you wait until I brought my father here that day? Running to Ling's bed, pulling the quilt, Hinata said a little aggrieved, or should be said to be guilty. Although he doesn't know exactly what happened, Hinata can also feel the danger of this incident. It is a feeling that his younger brother will leave him forever at any time. It scared her. Well, that uncle said he wanted to take me to an interesting place to play, so let's go first. Rubbing Hinata's head, Ling said with a relaxed expression, as if he was an older brother. I'm so afraid, brother, that you won't be able to come back. How could it be? When I thought that there was an idiot sister to take care of at home, I came back quickly. It's just that when I came back, I ran too fast and fell, so I slept for a few days. Hearing Ling's words, Hinata's face slightly UI, revealing a sweet smile. The well-intentioned lies come out into chapters, making Hinata foolish for a while, not enough, but there is a real part. Ling he did go to a fun place with the uncle, a place called Huang Izumi. The difference is that he was lucky to walk back, but the uncle never came back. Hey, brother, can you take me to that fun place too? Well, that's not good, I'll never take you to that place. Hey, why? Because. The side of the wall outside the door, Hyuga Hayashi was standing there, listening to the conversation of the two siblings in the room, and a gratified smile appeared on his face. But the smile soon froze. He thought of his younger brother Hisashi, who died in obscurity in order to quell the war. He just hoped that Ling and Hinata would not repeat their mistakes. That matter, it seems that we should delay it a little longer. It will not be too late to talk about it when the two of them are old. He said to himself in his heart. Hayashi didn't go in, but left directly. Main clan and branch, when this mark is branded, Hayashi can't guarantee whether the two brothers who are now close to each other will still be like they are now, so let's give them some more time to enjoy. Tiank opens a book in Genesis, and old readers can introduce it to their friends who like fans. This is the greatest support for Tiank. The latest chapter of The Firearms of Hokage is first published by Genesis Chinese, the place where the latest, hottest, and fastest online novels are published. This site provides two modes, traditional page turning and waterfall reading, which can be selected in the settings. You've reached the end of Part 1. Want to know what happens next? Part 2 and the rest of the story are available on Patreon. Go to Patreon and search for my page to continue listening. Join Patreon and continue the story from Part 2. Thank you for listening and supporting the channel.